There you go, guys. There's screen capture that really quick. Whoa. Low replay viewers. Hello, everybody. Team Angel, thank you so much for joining. You must be a Grant Cardone fan and ready to learn a little bit about the 10X rule by Grant Cardone. We are discussing chapters 14, and we're going to follow that by 15 because yesterday I was unable to get on live when I needed to because I had a meeting that ran a little bit long. So, hey, for those of you coming in the room, David, looking forward to talking to you in just a little bit here. Kim Buchanan, excellent, all the way over from Australia. Thanks for being here today. Hey, Tag Cool, thank you so much for being there. You are, hi there. Tag Cool, thank you so much for joining. For those of you who are new to my skull, feel free to put a 1 in the box and let me know that you're new, and let me know your name so that I can acknowledge you by name. For those of you who do not know who I am, allow me to introduce myself. My name is Ryan Roy. I am an accountability coach. I help people, small businesses, entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, real estate agents, or salespeople, anybody who doesn't necessarily have a boss in their life. I help them formulate their goals, break them down into small actionable steps, and boom, help them stay accountable to taking those steps. Taggart, nice to meet you. Our Antes Jackie, thank you so much for being here also. We are reviewing the 10X rule. For those of you who don't know, the 10X rule is written by Grant Cardone, a nationally acclaimed, world-renowned right now salesperson. He focuses on sales, but he talks about taking massive actions to achieving anything that you want to achieve in your life, and that's how we get results. Matthew Partain, thank you so much for coming in the room, man. I just saw that you were scoping, man. Keep doing your thing. And I heard it was hot because you had to do a part 2. You probably phone burned up a little bit, right, my man? So that's what happens when you're on fire. So I have been covering the series chapter by chapter, day by day. We are on chapter 14, and I'm also going to do chapter 15 today because yesterday I wasn't live with the material. That is so awesome. It was so hot that your phone overheated. So if you guys want to invite your followers, if you feel like there's going to be some massive value going on here, feel free to do that. Matthew, I appreciate you inviting it out to your followers. So let's do this. Chapter 14, he says, expand, never contract. Think about this, guys. Expand, never contract. At the time that the book was written, he wrote it in 2009, 2010. The economy, unemployment, and other financial uncertainty were reaching heights not seen since the Great Depression here in the United States. People were contracting their businesses. People were laying people off. People were lowering salaries. People were totally contracting, and they were spending less, right? And they're trying to find ways to conserve their dollars, right? Oh my God, we're going to have less customers. What do we do? And he says, man, you can't do that. He goes, that is the golden rule. You cannot contract. You must expand in tough times. You must always be expanding. The 10X rule states that you should be taking 10X actions. So he's writing a book and he's like, man, I always tell people take massive action. You need to take massive action. Everybody's declining. What should I do? And what do you think Grant did, guys? What do you think Grant did when everybody else was contracting in their businesses? He expanded. He says he'll admit that it was counterintuitive to expand while others were taking protective measures. That is what you must do to take advantage of opportunity. Do what other people are not doing. You must put yourself in a position to capitalize on this. As I was reading this, I thought of a good friend of mine. Can I share a story about a great friend of mine who really made his millions in 2009, 2010? Can I share that story? Put a 1 in the box if it's okay if I share that story with you guys. Rafia, welcome. Glad you could join. So David McCormick, thanks for coming back. Thank you so much. Carrie, hey, great to see you in the room. So listen, good friend of mine was in a printing business. He advertising, flyers, this and that, the other. While everybody else was contracting, his business was suffering. His business was suffering because people weren't spending money on marketing materials. So he got into selling used cars, right? People weren't buying new cars. They were buying used cars. So he was buying these cars and finding deals and buying a car for 8,000, selling it for 10,000, a lot of work in between. And he was like, man, I'm just not making money. And then somebody approached him and he says, man, I wish I had money right now. Houses are $10,000. He goes, a house for $10,000? Listen to what's going on here. The economy crashed. People were abandoning houses. The housing market crashed. Nobody could get a loan. People were abandoning their homes. He was in the Atlanta area, that's close to where I am, and they were selling houses for $10,000 on the land. And he thought to himself, he had like $250,000 from his business stashed away. He went and bought, guys, 20 houses at $10,000 a piece. Cash. And he put renters in them. And he was making $500 to $1,200 a month. Now let's just average that out. Let's just say he was making $1,000 a month across the board. And he still owns all these houses today. Let's say he was making $1,000 a month. Those houses paid for themselves within a year. He had all of his money back in his pocket within a year. And now he has all the real estate. And he's collecting $20,000 a month in rents. Boom. You want to know what else he did? But everybody was telling him, you're crazy. The housing market is sorry. There's no way you're going to... And he goes, man, how can I pass up on a house that's rentable for $10,000? To him, it didn't make sense why people were panicked. But he was in a position because he had the cash to capitalize on it. Each and every single one of those houses today, guys, is worth well over $100,000 just 7 years later. 20 houses, $100,000 a piece, $2 million, plus he's making $20,000 a month rent. Plus he's making $20,000 a month rent. Why? Because when everybody else was freaking out and packing their pennies, he went and invested where he saw opportunity. But you must be able to recognize opportunity to do that. So, what he says, and now after my story, he says you must expand regardless of what other people or the economy is doing around you. Over an 18-month period during this, Grant, during this recession, he decided to spend more money on advertising, marketing, and promotion than he had in his previous 18 years in business. More money in 18 years. He spent 18 months. While people were protecting their resources, he was demanding his staff use their most valuable resources. And if you guys have been following the series, the most valuable resources are energy, creativity, persistence, and contact with their clients. Yes, this is not rocket science. Just go out there and work. In that same time, thanks for the hearts for those of you who are tapping, and thanks for those of you who invited out, and thanks for you who are taking notes. If you're taking notes, take notes. Listen to this. Over that same time, Grant did this. He published 3 books in those 18 months. He introduced 4 new sales programs. He produced over 700 sales segments for a virtual training site. He did 600 interviews on radio, wrote more than 150 articles or blog entries, and called personally thousands and thousands and thousands of people on the phone personally. So what's he say? People ask, how and why did you decide to expand while everybody else was in contraction? And he basically said, I would rather die in expansion than die in contraction. I would rather die in expansion, trying and giving it my all, than die in contraction. The solution is to get off the sofa, get out of your home, and make your way into the market. Get in front of your clients. Guys, any of you who are in business, how many of you have your own business or want to start your own business or do any of that? Put a 1 in the box. Any of you who have your own business, want to start your own business, know a business owner? Put a 1 in the box. There you go, Kim. And Kim, I don't know how much you scope or don't scope. People, How do you get in front of people? The easiest way to get in front of people, in my opinion, with this new technology that's less than a year and a half old, this live streaming thing, this Periscope, this Facebook Live, this YouTube Live, is boom, hit the broadcast button. Listen, I may have 6 people in this room. But 30, 40 people came through the room. And guess what? 30 or 40 people will come through tomorrow. And guess what? I'm touching 6 people from my dining room table that I wouldn't be touching if I weren't hitting the broadcast button. Get yourself in front of people. If you do it early in the morning or late in the evening, you'll get different numbers. You'll get more numbers. All you need to do is connect with people and expand. Absolutely big 2181. Consistency, showing up and letting people know what you do. How the heck is anybody going to pay for your product if they don't know what you do? So let me do a reset real quick. For those of you who don't know, I am a coach. I'm an accountability coach / life coach / success coach. I help people break down, formulate their goals, have a clear goal and map towards what they want to accomplish so that they can reverse engineer that into small actionable steps and take those steps. Boom. Yes, everyone needs to be scoping. In my opinion, you need to scope every day. When I first started, I scoped for the first 3 months every day, 3 times a day without fail. There wasn't one day I didn't scope for 3 times a day the first 3 months I was on Periscope. That's 210 scopes in 3 months. And people were like, oh my God. I'm telling you, the first day I didn't scope, I had like 10 people reach out to me saying, are you okay? Because I had developed that type of following. They didn't know where I was. Real word sports. I like that. Let me see who you are. I might want to connect with you just because of that profile. Gary Clark. You're not the Gary Clark that played for the Redskins, are you? Probably not. But Gary, I'm going to follow you real quick. Real word sports. Gary, you got to hit the broadcast button. I don't know what that means. Dude, you created a profile, hit the broadcast button, tell me what kind of sports you talk about. I agree. Getting there, gearing up for my daughter's wedding next weekend. Boom. Awesome. Scope to people. What, Carrie, what's your business? I'm going to give a little bit of coaching here real quick. What's your business, Carrie? What's your business? Because I guarantee you, people want to do business with people they know, like, and trust. Unique makeup. Oh my God. Your daughter is having a wedding. Would she be using your unique, I don't know if it's unique, I imagine it's unique, your unique makeup during her wedding? Could you talk about how beautiful your daughter's going to be at her wedding and how exciting it is that you're involved with a product, and tell the world and share the world the experiences you're going through with as a mother? As a mother who her daughter, her most precious prized possession, her child, is getting married and going off into the world with a man and starting their life, she's going to look her most beautiful because she's wearing my makeup. And if you want to know more about my makeup, visit my website at www. Boom. But it's true. It's true. But if you wait till after the wedding, when all the excitement's gone, and people don't get to experience the journey with you, then they're going to be like, oh, her daughter got married? Oh, you know what? Oh, she wore the makeup? I didn't see the pictures. I'm not sure. But if you talk about it the week of the wedding as all the excitement's building up, and maybe even scope in the back when you're spending some time with your daughter, and it doesn't have to be this, but people will connect and say, title, my daughter's getting married. I'm super excited. Put a link to your website about the makeup. And just say, doesn't her makeup look beautiful? You're connecting with people. You're connecting with people. The number one thing that people say to me on my scopes, and I'm going to be doing more of this, is when I talk about my son and my connection to my son, that's when they connect to me. Why? Because that's the deal. That's an amazing idea. These are the things that I do with my clients on the phone, is I start finding out who you are, what you are, and how you can market yourself and your story, right? So if you're interested in a consult in how you could be leveraging your Periscope and what you could be talking about, go to the ryanroy.me and sign up for a free consult. Do it. So, I don't know if you guys took a screenshot of that or not. So, what he says at the end of the chapter is, remember, 10x, baby. Expand. Do not contract. So, we're going to do chapter 15. He says, burn the place down. Guys, you want to burn the freaking place down. What does he mean by this? Grant's talking about here is he's saying when you've caught momentum in your business, when you've scoped 21 times a week for multiple weeks, and you have and I'm going to be 100% transparent and honest here. Guys, I scoped all that time and I'm like, oh my God, I got some traction. I need a break. Guess what? I took a small break, and all of those people who were following me, and I'm not saying all, but a good portion of them found somebody else who was broadcasting. They don't necessarily come to my channel all the time. They peek in every once in a while, but I was their go-to guy. They have a new go-to guy. Why? Because somebody else was scoping consistently, right? If I'm not going to show up and they're desiring what I have, they're going to go somewhere else. So that's why I scope in the morning and scope in the afternoon 5 days a week now, because you guys know I'm showing up at 12:15. You got to have that consistency. And he says, burn the place down. He references a fire. He goes, if you light a fire and you throw a little bit of lighter fluid on it, and it starts to spark up, and there's a little gas on it, and then it's going really good, and then the burn, it's burning, the wood's burning, and it's burning. He goes, don't stop putting don't stop putting wood on the fire. Put so much wood and so much fuel on the fire, and the analogy is business. Put so much effort and contact so many people that you create a bonfire, that you're burning buildings down around you because your fire is so big. So many people are exposed to you because your flame is so bright. But he says, don't sit there and light a fire and then not add to it. Too many business owners. In Periscope, I built a fire. It was burning. And then I was like, I don't need to throw a log on today. I don't need to scope today. I don't need to scope tomorrow. And guess what? My viewership contracted. I know this. People know Tuesday nights at 8:30, stroke to the scope train. That's when I get the most people. And guess what? I have hundreds of people come through the scope train, right? Because they know that's when I've shown up consistently for months. Show up consistently, and then let people know when you are going to show up and continue to add fuel to that fire. Put a 1 in the box if this is making some sense to you. Boom. Kim's with me. David's with me. I love it. Carrie's with me. So, and I got Angela is also with me. Angela, thank you so much for joining in the conversation. I appreciate you being here. So, Newton talked about the law of inertia. An object in motion continues in motion. Keep taking action until your momentum cannot stop. Lady Yolanda, thank you so much for coming. Keep taking action. Take 10x action. You'll find yourself with less sleep. Love 10x book. I'm reviewing it. We're on chapter 15 right now. Burn the place down. He says, when you're in motion and you really can't stop, you know what happens? People will start losing sleep. People will start eating less. Why? Because your adrenaline from the success starts driving you. You don't need nights of 8 hours, 10 hours of sleep. I sleep like 4 hours a night, guys, 5 hours a night. I went to bed last night at 2:30 and I was up at 6. That's just the way I live because I'm excited about what I'm doing. I'm excited about talking to clients. I'm excited about helping people. I'm excited about getting people to the next level. I'm excited about following up with emails with people who are reaching out to me. And when you're in that momentum because you're doing so much to create the emails coming in and the clients coming in and the people going out and the people you're helping, guess what? It's exciting and you're living off pure adrenaline, right? He says one of the major problems or challenges with success is that it demands continuous attention. I thought of Madonna, and then he'll give you an example of a garden. Madonna. How many of you are familiar with Madonna? Madonna, material girl in a material world, and the woman reinvented herself like every 5 years, whether she was in movies, whether she was coming out with a new album that was completely different than what she had done before, whether she was putting out a new show. Whatever Madonna was doing, she was always reinventing herself and putting on tour. She didn't stop. She didn't quit. And she was relevant for 4 full decades. And nobody could deny what she did. She just outworked everyone. What he uses here as an example, he goes, think of your business or your work ethic as a garden or a lawn. He goes, you could sit there and manicure it. You could water it. You can do all these things to beautify it. He goes, and you must keep mowing it, edging it, watering it, planting. Otherwise, the grass will turn brown and your flowers will do what? They will die. It's no different in a business and having success. Think of working in 10x actions. You never put enough wood on the fire. There's no such thing as being talked about or written about excessively. You can never be covered too frequently, and receiving too much authority or working too hard. He says it doesn't exist. He says there's people out there that'll sit there and say, hey, maybe you're overexposed. He had an LA PR company reach out to him. He says, you are in danger of being overexposed. And he said it was the most asinine thing he had ever heard. He goes, his Coca-Cola. How many of you have heard of Coca-Cola? And if I don't see 5 ones, there's just something wrong. You people just don't live on the planet. Coca-Cola is the #1 recognized business on the planet. Are they overexposed? Can you be overexposed if you are Coca-Cola? Is overexposed even exist? Because as Grant says, if you don't know who I am, how are you going to buy my product? If you don't know who I am, how are you going to buy my product? And guess what? There's no such thing as overexposure. It just doesn't exist. He goes, think of other companies. He goes, think of companies such as Microsoft, world renowned, Starbucks at this point, McDonald's, Wells Fargo, Google, Fox TV, Walgreens, Exxon, Apple, Toyota. I got people from all over the world right now, and there's probably not one company right there that any of you have not heard of. All over the world. I'm in the United States. Kim is in Australia. David's in the UK. Guess what? You guys have heard of every single one of those companies because they're exposed. People know what they do. If you don't know about me, it doesn't matter how good my product is or how small my price is. If you don't know about me, you can't buy my product and you cannot benefit from it. So, he says, what fire do you want to start and add to? These are the questions at the end of the chapter. What fire do you have within inside you, and where do you want to start? What are the 3 things that you could do to add wood to your already existing fire? And who can you get support from in order to continue stroking your fire? So guys, I'm going to share something with you. And I thought about this just now. I am creating a new course, and it's called Become Your Own Money Tree. Most of you don't know my degrees in finance, and I love helping people with their finances. But it's not always what I do, but it is something I do with my clients if they need it and want it, right? And Become Your Own Money Tree. So I went to go look for an image of a money tree online that I could use to start making the banners for this. And if you guys do this, you could go to Google right now, and if you go to Getty Images, the best images were there. Guess how much money it was for a Getty image of a money tree? One image, $575. Now, I'm a resourceful person, right? I'm not going to spend $575 to use one image one time. And I said that too. So what did I do last night? I got on the phone with one of my good friends who I've done a lot of personal development with, and he's an artist. He says, who can you get support from in order to continue stroking your fire? And I said, hey, John, do you want to learn how you can make $575 for one image time after time after time again? And he goes, yeah. He's an artist. I said, can you draw me a money tree similar to this? And he goes, yeah. I go, well, go post it on Getty Images or somewhere else and lowball it for like $4.50 an image and see if people purchase it. And by the way, I need to use the same image for something I'm doing, and I want you to give me the rights to it after you do it. And he was like, done, you'll have it by Sunday. So I taught him how he could potentially make $575 time and time and time and time and time again. And guess what? I'm getting it for free. And he's an incredible, incredible artist. That's how you could get some support and leverage your resources. But too many people would be like, it wasn't a win-win. It wasn't like, hey, John, you're my boy. Can you draw me a money tree? It was, hey, John, would you like to know how to make some money? And if I teach you how, could I use the resource that I am teaching you to do it? And it's going to be done by Sunday. Today's Friday, people. That's 3 days I'm getting an image that some people are paying $575. There were multiple images. They were all $575 for one image. And I was just like, what? That's crazy. But the only reason they could charge $575 is why? Because people are willing to pay for it. I always say, people would say that's not worth it. Things are worth what people are willing to pay for them in that moment, right? I've had people pay me $1,000 for one phone call. That same $1,000 may not be beneficial to somebody else. I literally negotiated a $2,000 deal a couple days ago, and I said to somebody, I want 10% of this up to this amount, up to 20,000 for the information I'm about to give you, and it's already in place, and the monies will be coming. And it was literally one sentence of giving them information. But before I gave the information, I said, this is the deal, and we drew it up. And when I gave it, he was like, oh my God, I'm going to make so much money off of this. Guys, use your resources. Educate people. Let them grow. Let them expand. But let them expand with you if you're growing and expanding yourself. It is a community of people who are building things together in order to get success. He could have his own site with every picture he wanted to draw available for use. Yeah, here's the thing though, Kim, and this is what most people, can I help you with the mindset of that? Kim, can I help you with the mindset of that? Because when you have your own website, the challenge with having your own website on something like that is unless they know you and you're marketing bananas, like bananas to the website, and that's not what he does, he's not a marketer, he needs to find a market to do that. When you go to Getty Images and you give them 50%, they have thousands of people who go to that website every single day. They already have a name. So if his picture is posted on there, he is getting 50% of potentially a big pool or multiple orders. Or he could market his stuff, which is going to cost money, and to get people to his site to get 100%, but he paid for marketing and all these other things. When you pay for somebody else, you pay for their exposure, and it's well worth it because you're going to make 10 or 20 times more the money until you build your own site. So don't think in terms of, oh my God, he could get 100% of his own stuff. Think in terms of, he is not a marketer, he's an artist, and somebody else has a market, right? And those are the things we got to talk about. And that's what he says. Who can you get support from in order to continue stroking your fire? He could use Getty Images to focus. Well, and that is the big thing first, right? And then we go for McDonald's. I want to open a burger joint. If I were to open a burger joint, I would do McDonald's, right? Because they have the system. Now, I may not like the burgers, but if I wanted to create a better quality burger and a better atmosphere, I would learn the systems of McDonald's because they're proven successful 14,000 times over, because there's 14,000 locations worldwide. I would learn their system and then create my own better recipes because McDonald's, people don't know this. You want to hear a funny thing about McDonald's and their actual bylaws, and I've read this. I've seen it with my own eyes, otherwise I wouldn't believe it. In their bylaws, it says this. Skill up to cash up. It says this. We make the least quality burger that people will consume. Because, and here's the other thing. McDonald's isn't in the burger business. McDonald's is in the real estate business. All the money. You can't sell dollar menu burgers and all that stuff. They do it all for the real estate, and there's a very small percentage. All the advertising and everything they do, think about what the land is worth underneath the 14,000 McDonald's franchises, because people own the franchise, but they don't own the land. Ooh, boom. So if you want to get rid of the franchise or whatever, guess what? McDonald's, the corporation, owns the land underneath it. And that's the value of McDonald's, because land values always go up with inflation. And most people don't understand that. So, oh, that is awesome. And it's probably crazy what they teach you. And most people, and I was reading in his book earlier, he said Grant's first job was at McDonald's. Grant's first job at McDonald's, he said he hated it. He despised it. It wasn't in alignment with his goals. The guy next to him was ecstatic. He goes, what are you ecstatic about making $7 for? Well, the guy had goals in line. The guy had the goal to own McDonald's franchises. He was in training to own McDonald's franchises. He was excited about the job because it was in alignment with what he wanted. Grant just wanted a little extra side money and was miserable there because it wasn't in alignment with what he wanted. Same job, same deal, same price, but two different mindsets, and one benefited one better than the other. That job served that man because he went on to get McDonald's franchises. Grant went on to do other things, but McDonald's has nothing to do with it. So if anybody would like a complimentary coaching session, Bobby, thank you so much for tapping the screen. Go to ryanroy.me and feel free to go and get a free coaching session with me. Help me with your first few business. The system works. Follow the system. Guys, do not try to reinvent the wheel. If somebody else has paved the path for you, sit there and get that knowledge from that mentor, from that person, from that coach, from that training program. Here's the thing. In my experience, a lot of people will read a book. A client of mine was just reading a book that they're trying to go through some processes. He's like, hey, I got to answer these questions. I go, well, how far into the book are you? He goes, oh, I'm almost done. I said, all those questions are asking me at the end, where's the notebook? Well, I haven't written it down. Guys, if you don't implement whatever it is you're being taught, if you don't do the exercises, guess what? You're never going to grow. You may think you're growing up here, but it's only in your mind. I always say to people, your goals, most people don't have goals. If you don't write down your goals, they're just dreams because they're in your head. And the thoughts are only in your head. They're not material. The whole reason we write goals down is so that they become into the physical world. They're physically on a piece of paper that you can see and somebody else can see and actually hold you accountable to taking action on. But too many people have a lot of dreams. Here's how my name is pronounced. Oweeds. Oweeds. Thank you. I appreciate that because I know I've mispronounced. So Oweeds. Thank you. Appreciate it. So, write your goals down, people, because if you're not writing them down, they are just dreams. Guys, thank you so much for your time today. That is me covering the 10X rule, 2 chapters, chapter 14 and 15. I am going to condense next week, and we're going to finish next week. There are 8 chapters left. I'm going to do just like I did today. I'm going to do 2 chapters a day because I was able to fit that into a half hour. And I think that is doable. And then we're going to move on to some really, really exciting material. I love the 10X rule. I love the concepts with it, but we need to get people into action by giving them really actionable steps. So we're going to conclude this next Thursday. I'll probably take Friday off, and then we're going to announce something for the weekend. You are so welcome. Thank you for your time. You know, you could spend your time absolutely anywhere, everybody, but you chose to spend it here with me, learning about Grant Cardone, the 10X rule. Again, you guys can go buy the book at the bit.ly link, bit.ly/action10x. That's the least expensive place that I found it. It's $15, and you could also get the downloadable version for I think like almost $13. So there you go. You are awesome. I want to acknowledge those of you who are still in the room. David McCormick, my friend, thank you so much for being here. I'm going to say it's Oweda because you put Oweeds, but I'm assuming it's Oweda because of the A. Thank you so much for being here. Carrie, I appreciate you. And Lenny, man, thanks for sticking around. Lenny's new to my scopes. Lenny, you need to get on the scope train, Lenny. We need to get you broadcasting and get you some viewers. For that, you could go to ryanroy.me. Seriously, Lenny, you want an audience? You got something to say? You don't show up on the list, Kim. No, sorry. I acknowledge you too. Go to ryanroy.me/train, Lenny, and you could sign up for the scope train to give you an audience exposure, and I'll send you all kinds of information on how to utilize a really first scope. Your very first scope was liberating. And you know what? The hardest thing to do is taking that first step and exposing yourself. But if you do it in a way that it is a positive experience, and it is a positive experience on the train, you want to come back. I always reference the first date. Guys, if you had a horrible first date with somebody, chances are you're not going out on a second date. If you have a horrible first experience on a Periscope broadcast, the chances of you wanting to do it again are not very good. So I like to create the environment of people having an amazing first experience. I'll also promote that by saying this. I spoke to Mrs. Colorado 2016. That's a state here in the United States, for those of you who may not know. I had a hour-and-a-half long session with her yesterday. She had never Periscoped. She went live for the first time last night, and she's going to be a guest on the Scope Train next week. So I'm super excited about that because she has a ton of people who know of her in other platforms. Obviously, she's a pageant queen, but exposing her on Periscope for the first time on my train is super exciting. So if you guys want to check that out, feel free to do that. Her name is Erica Shields. Erica is spelled with a C. Mrs. MRS. She's married. It's the married version of the pageant. Mrs. Colorado 2016 this year. So you can Google her and see her, and she's going to be on the Scope Train. So super excited to have her on. So guys, I'm getting out of here. Have an amazing day. Have a phenomenal weekend, and make the most of your time, right? Make the most of your time. Our time is precious. So go out there and take action on what it is that you want to accomplish. We'll talk to you guys soon. Bye.